Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up and feel like something's missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Maybe the house is just too quiet. Maybe your phone hasn't rung in days. Or maybe it's just that feeling, like time is passing, but life isn't quite happening the way it used to. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And I mean that, truly. You're not alone in feeling this way. As we grow older, life changes in ways we don't always expect. Friends move away, family gets busy, and suddenly the days feel longer, a bit emptier. The routines we used to rely on, work, raising kids, the busy buzz of life, start to fade. And if we're not careful, loneliness can quietly slip in and make itself at home. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to. You don't have to settle for feeling lonely. In fact, you can build a life filled with purpose, peace, and happiness, right where you are, starting today. In this video, we're going to talk about what you can do every single day to stay emotionally strong, mentally sharp, and genuinely happy, even if you're living on your own or feeling disconnected right now. And don't worry, nothing I'll share is complicated or out of reach. These are simple, powerful habits that can gently reshape your days and lift your spirit, one small choice at a time. So let's take a breath together and begin. One of the most important things you can do to bring happiness back into your daily life is to create a routine. Now, I know that word might sound a little dull at first. Routine? Isn't that just doing the same thing over and over again? But let me tell you, there's magic in it. There's comfort in knowing what comes next. There's power in having even a few little anchors in your day that make you feel grounded and in control. Think about this. When we were younger, we often had routines without even thinking about them. Waking up early for work, getting kids off to school, heading to the market on Saturdays. It was busy, yes, but it gave life a rhythm, a sense of flow. And that's exactly what a good routine can bring back. Rhythm, direction, a reason to rise each morning with intention. Let me tell you about Robert. He's a retired engineer, 76 years old, who found himself in a bit of a fog after his wife passed away. He'd sleep until noon some days, forget meals, and spend hours in front of the television. He told me, "I wasn't depressed, I was just lost." Everything changed the day he wrote down a simple plan for his mornings. Wake up at 7, stretch a bit, make breakfast, water the plants, call his sister in the afternoon. It wasn't much, but it gave him a sense of ownership over his day. And with that came clarity, energy, even joy. Your routine doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Maybe for you, it's as simple as having your tea by the window at the same time each day, or playing your favorite song as you tidy up the kitchen. The goal isn't to fill your calendar. It's to give your day shape, warmth, and meaning. And once you have even a small routine going, the next step is just as important. Move your body. Now, before you worry, I'm not talking about hitting the gym or running a marathon. I'm talking about gentle daily movement, the kind that reminds your body it's still strong, still capable, still alive. You'd be amazed how much a short walk around the block can shift your mood. How 5 minutes of stretching in the morning can loosen more than just your muscles. It can loosen the tightness in your thoughts, your worries, even your breath. Moving your body tells your brain, "We're still in this. Let's go." I remember talking to Eleanor, a lovely retired librarian who told me that after she stopped working, she stopped moving. She'd sit most of the day, reading, watching TV, just resting. At first it felt nice. Then it started to feel slow, heavy. She said, I thought I was just getting old, but really I was just getting stiff. What changed for her was so simple. She joined a local walking group, just once a week at first, and added a few minutes of light stretching each morning. The change was incredible. Her sleep improved. Her mood lifted. Even her posture straightened. all from just a little movement done regularly. And science backs this up. Staying physically active isn't just about keeping your body in shape, it's about protecting your brain too. Daily movement boosts circulation, improves memory, and helps prevent cognitive decline. It's like giving your whole self, mind, body, and spirit a little daily tune-up. So if your joints feel stiff or your energy feels low, don't push too hard. Just start small. Walk to the end of the street and back. Dance in your kitchen for one song. Even standing up and sitting down a few extra times during the day can do wonders. The beautiful thing about routine and movement is that they go hand in hand. A peaceful morning routine can naturally lead into a few minutes of stretching. A midday walk can become your favorite part of the day. And over time, those little things, those seemingly small choices, start adding up to something big, a life that feels more alive, more vibrant, more yours. You might not realize it now, but the way you spend your ordinary days is the way you shape your future. And the best part? It's all within your power. Now, once you've got a routine in place and your body is gently moving each day, something begins to shift. You start to feel a little more present, a little more alive. But there's another piece that matters just as much, maybe even more. It's your connection with others. Because no matter how independent we are, we're wired for human connection. The truth is, one of the hardest parts about aging isn't the physical aches or the slowing down. It's the quiet. That kind of quiet that creeps in not just around you, but inside of you. When phone calls come less often, when friends move away, or when family members are caught up in their own busy lives, it can leave a hole that's hard to fill. But let me gently remind you of something important. Loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected. And the good news is you can reconnect, starting right where you are. Frank, an 80-year-old widower, used to say, "I didn't realize how much I missed being seen until I went days without anyone using my name." That hits deep, doesn't it? For a while, he told himself he was fine, that his children were too busy, his friends had moved on, and there wasn't much point reaching out. But inside, he was aching for something simple: conversation, a little laughter, the sound of another voice. What changed things for Frank wasn't anything dramatic. He started by calling an old friend once a week. Then, he joined a small local group that met for coffee and stories. And not long after, he discovered an online chess club where he could play and chat with people from around the world. Suddenly, his days had color again. He felt like he was part of something. And that's what social connection gives us, a feeling of belonging. So if you found yourself withdrawing or waiting for someone else to make the first move, I invite you to take one small step today. Say hello to a neighbor, call a friend. Join a group, even a virtual one, that shares your interests: books, gardening, painting, puzzles, you name it. You never know where one friendly exchange might lead. And if you're thinking, "But I'm not much of a social person," that's perfectly okay. Social connection isn't about being loud or outgoing. It's about the little moments of warmth, the ones that remind you you're still part of the world and that the world is better with you in it. Let's shift now to something that often gets overlooked, but has a massive impact on your overall well-being: your mind. Just like the body, the brain needs regular activity to stay sharp, flexible, and full of life. And just like a muscle, if you don't use it, it starts to weaken. But the great news is, it's never too late to strengthen it again. Keeping your mind engaged can be one of the most joyful parts of your day. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to dive into heavy textbooks or master a new language, unless you want to, of course. Sometimes, it's the simplest things that work best. Reading a chapter of a book that inspires you, doing a crossword puzzle with your morning coffee, writing a few lines in a journal, or learning the lyrics to a song you love. Janet, a 74-year-old former teacher, told me she started forgetting things. Not big things, but small ones. Where she left her keys, What she went to the store to buy? She was worried it was just part of getting older. But then she remembered something she used to tell her students. Your brain needs a challenge. So she decided to follow her own advice. She started doing the crossword in the paper each morning. She picked up a Spanish course online. Within weeks, she noticed a difference. Her focus improved. She had more to talk about. And most importantly, she felt proud of herself. That's the thing. When you give your mind something new to explore, it responds. You build new connections. You feel more alert, more present. And with that comes confidence. That beautiful sense of, yes, I can still learn, I can still grow. Mental stimulation doesn't just protect your memory. It helps with your mood. It keeps boredom at bay. It gives you a sense of forward motion, of progress, even if you're not going anywhere physically. So pick something that sparks your interest, even if you think it's silly. Paint. Write. Learn how to use a new app. Start a little diary about your days. You'd be amazed how much joy can come from a curious mind. When your days include a sense of connection and your mind stays active and inspired, you begin to build a world that feels rich and meaningful, one that exists entirely within your power to shape. And it all starts with the habits you choose to carry with you through each day. There's something deeply powerful about keeping your mind active and your connections alive. But to truly create a life that feels full and rich, even when you're spending more time on your own, there's one more element that ties everything together. It's a quiet habit, often overlooked, but it can completely transform the way you see each day. And that is the simple act of gratitude. Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot. Be grateful. Count your blessings. But this isn't about forcing yourself to feel happy when things are hard. It's about making space each day to gently turn your attention toward what's still good, what's still here, and what's still possible. George, a 79-year-old retired firefighter, told me that after losing his wife, mornings felt empty. The silence of the house was louder than ever, and he often found himself stuck in the past, replaying memories, wondering what life was supposed to look like now. Then, someone gave him a small notebook and suggested he start a gratitude journal. He was skeptical at first, but he gave it a try. Every morning, just 3 things. Sometimes it was big stuff. His granddaughter's laugh, a sunny day. Other times it was simple. A warm mug of coffee, a neighbor's wave, a good night's sleep. What happened next wasn't sudden. It was subtle. But over time, his focus began to shift. He still missed his wife. That never changed. But he began to see beauty again, in places he hadn't noticed before. A bird outside his window, the way light touched the living room floor in the afternoon, and that shift, it gave him peace. It gave him a reason to look forward, not just backward. Gratitude does that. It roots you in the present. It softens the sharp edges of loneliness and reminds you that even on days when the world feels quiet, life is still offering you something kind. You don't need a fancy journal. You don't even need to write it down. Just sit for a few minutes each day, breathe, and ask yourself, what made me smile today? What felt good? What am I thankful for, right now, in this moment? The answers might surprise you. Alongside gratitude, another daily habit that brings deep joy and meaning is helping others. It might seem backward. When you're feeling lonely or down, the last thing you feel like doing is giving. But that's where the magic is. Giving connects you to something bigger than yourself. It reminds you that you still have so much to offer. Your time, your wisdom, your kindness. Margaret, an 82-year-old former nurse, told me that after she retired, she felt invisible. Her kids were grown, her social circle had shrunk, and her days felt hollow. Then she signed up to help at a local food bank once a week. At first, it was just a few hours of sorting cans and bagging groceries. But what she didn't expect was how good it would feel to be needed again. She started looking forward to those mornings, to the small conversations, to the laughter, and maybe most of all, to the feeling that she still mattered. Helping others doesn't have to be a big act. It can be as simple as checking in on a neighbor, sending a kind message to someone who's going through a tough time, sharing a story with a younger friend, offering a compliment to a stranger. Every time you give, even in the smallest way, you light a spark in someone else's life. And that light, it reflects right back into yours. Even if you're limited physically, there are still ways to give. Write letters. Share your experiences. Be someone's listening ear. Remind others through your actions that love, care, and generosity don't have an expiration date. You see, when your days are built around gratitude and service, they become more than just time passing, they become meaningful. You stop waiting for joy to find you, and instead you start creating it, one kind word, one quiet moment at a time. And maybe that's the real secret to staying happy and avoiding loneliness in later life. It's not about filling every moment or chasing constant excitement. It's about choosing, each day, to be intentional. To move your body, connect with others, keep your mind active, appreciate the beauty around you, and offer your light to someone else. You don't have to do everything all at once. Start small. Start gentle. But start. Because each step you take builds something beautiful, and that beauty radiates out from you. If you've made it to this point in the video, thank you. Truly. That tells me you care about your life, that you want to keep growing, keep giving, and keep living fully. And I want to remind you that you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are needed, cherished, and capable of building a life that feels deeply good, no matter what age you are or what your circumstances look like. Now, if anything we talked about today touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share something that brings you joy, or one habit you're going to start tomorrow. Hearing your stories means the world to me. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Here's to waking up each day with purpose, to walking into the quiet moments with strength, to creating joy and choosing love again and again. You're not alone, and you're never too old to live a life that lights you up. You know, when we talk about living well after 60 or 70 or even 80, we often think about slowing down, resting, stepping back from the busy world. And while there's absolutely beauty in rest, in stillness and reflection, there's also something powerful in continuing to choose life each and every day. That's what this video has really been about. Not a list of things to fix your life, but gentle invitations. Invitations to reconnect, to move, to think, to feel, to give. To remind yourself day by day that happiness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you cultivate. And loneliness, as heavy as it may feel sometimes, isn't the end of your story. It's a chapter you can change. Because here's the truth. Every day is a blank page. It doesn't matter what yesterday looked like or how long it's been since you felt excited to start the morning. What matters is today. What matters is this moment, right here, right now, and the small choices you're willing to make to care for your spirit, your heart, and your body. You've already made a choice just by being here with me. You chose to listen, to reflect, to open your heart to new possibilities. That's no small thing. That's courage. And that's where change begins. You see, the older we get, the more we understand that life isn't about chasing the next big thing. It's about presence. It's in the way we sip our tea in silence, in the smile we offer someone passing by, in the song we hum while washing dishes. It's in the moments we pause to breathe and say, "This is enough. I am enough." There's such strength in simplicity. And sometimes the most powerful transformations begin with the softest intentions. A 5-minute walk, a heartfelt phone call, a kind note to a friend, a prayer of gratitude before bed. These aren't grand gestures, but they are deeply human, deeply healing, and they are available to you, always. So let's recap, not in a list, but in feeling. You rise with a plan, however small, and greet the day with purpose. You move your body, not to look a certain way, but to feel alive, strong, and independent. You reach out, not because you have to, but because connection makes your soul sing. You challenge your mind, even just a little, and in doing so, you remind yourself that curiosity has no expiration date. You practice gratitude, slowly and sincerely, allowing joy to seep into the cracks. And you help others, not to prove your worth, but to express it. Each of these things done with heart builds a life that feels meaningful, even in quiet moments, especially in quiet moments. And if today still feels heavy, if the silence in your home feels louder than the comfort in your heart, please know this: you are not alone. There's someone else right now watching this video, feeling the same ache, the same longing for connection. And just like you, they're searching for that little spark to bring them back to life. Maybe you can be that spark. Maybe your comment below, your story, your encouragement, maybe that's exactly what someone else needs to read tonight. And maybe what you need is to hear this: you still matter. You're still becoming. You're still here for a reason. So take today gently. Choose one thing from everything we've shared, just one, and let that be your gift to yourself. Not as a task or a chore, but as an act of kindness. Let that small act remind you that you are in control of how your life feels, that happiness is within reach. That loneliness is not your identity, it's just a feeling, and like all feelings, it can shift. And when you feel ready, come back. Come back to this space. Come back to these words. Let them remind you, again and again, that you are never too old to grow, never too late to begin again. If this video touched your heart today, let us know. Leave a comment. Share something that's helping you feel more connected. Or simply write, "I'm here," because sometimes just being here is enough. And if you haven't yet, click that like button. Subscribe. Stay connected with us, because there's so much more we want to explore together. You are seen, you are valued, and you are deeply loved, not for what you've done, but for who you are. Here's to you, waking up with intention, moving with grace, living with meaning, and giving with joy. Here's to happiness that comes from the inside out. And here's to a life where loneliness doesn't win. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.